Hey everybody, Ron here with the Human Excitement Program. So I know that I haven't posted in a while, and I don't know if anybody was really watching. I know that I got views on some of it. That's besides the point. I just wanted to kind of talk and rant a little bit, I guess. I've really been doing a lot of mental processing and just trying to think about exactly as to what I want to do and where I want to go with this thing, and whatever it is. And I keep coming to this same spot in my mind. And I shouldn't even say that it's about the channel. It's just, I find the human brain to be very interesting. And the more and more that I've kind of gone into my own brain and tried to figure it out, the harder it's pushed on me. It doesn't want to comply, right? And it's very interesting that the human mind has the ability to push back against the driver of the vehicle, in my mind anyway. And it's very difficult to try and get a grasp on exactly what your brain is doing. And I was just wondering if any of you have ever experienced anything along the lines of like going to war with your mind in some sense, right? Obviously, I wouldn't say that the entire channel is going to be based about this, but it's just a concept that I've had rolling around in my head for a while. And I've really been trying to change my life in some sense, I know I need to change how I live and what I do and, everything. All the way from, whatever you want to call it, desires to wants to needs to, I feel like the brain is very easily manipulated into going down certain paths, and it's not a good thing, and I guess that's the biggest thing is ever since I was able to have, I don't know how to explain it, self-awareness. There we go, self-awareness. From the time I was a boy, it's just been a very interesting thing to me, right? I mean, I say a boy, I'm only, in my early 20s now, but it's just very interesting. I don't know quite how to explain it. I know I'm kind of rambling and doing whatever right now, but you're just getting the raw, unfiltered version of this conversation that I've been kind of having with myself. And I know that makes me sound crazy, but it's not like there's another voice rolling around in there. You know what I mean? Anyway, and I would say I've learned a lot, but I've also kind of hit a wall. So my brain operates much more in the analytical sense of okay, we need to analyze everything. And then, of course, everyone has that perfectionist side of them, at least somewhere in there, where it's okay, well, do we really want to move before everything's perfect? And I know that that's a problem. I can recognize that. I just don't quite have the answers on the other things. And I'm trying to solve them. But the problem is that the perfectionist is feeding the analytic. And with the analytic feeding upon the perfectionist, they kind of counteract each other a little bit, because it's okay, I want to understand this all the way, but then the perfectionist comes in and says, well, if you're trying to understand it all the way, then you're never actually going to be able to do it perfectly, because you have to do X, Y, and Z first. So they kind of counteract each other, because one wants to have everything perfect before it moves, and the other one wants to just move and figure it out. So it's kind of interesting in a lot of different ways. I'm not trying to bore anybody with any of the content that I'm putting out there or anything like that, and again, I do deeply apologize for anybody that was actually enjoying the content and everything, and I appreciate all those that have viewed and interacted and everything. I just never really had, there was no why in the channel. There was just do it, you know? It was, okay, and this is going to sound incredibly shallow, and I don't want you to think that this is all that I think about, okay? But I just wanted to let you know that this is a thought that I had, okay? So, with the channel, I had originally thought, well, if I just do this, I can make money, right? And truly, that's what it was. It was never, I would say when I first started, it was not a passion project. And I know it's been a year since I've really posted anything again, or roughly around that time. But with me actually thinking about the things that I want in life is, would money be cool? Yes. But I have a job. So it's not like I can't work for money. And through doing the work and starting to realize, truly, I think the two things that I want most is I really do want to entertain and help people the best I can. And I know that sounds like a political answer, and everybody's going to, I shouldn't say everybody. Some people are going to think, well, this guy's he's lying to us right now. Well, if that's what you want to believe, then that's okay. I can't judge anybody for their opinion, of course. But it truly is what I want. I mean, I want to entertain and I want to help people. And I'm really starting to fall in love with the sport of jiu-jitsu again. And I think that's another thing that I really want to do too, is I really want to figure out jiu-jitsu. It's very good for my brain, and I don't know, it does things for me like no other sport or activity ever has. It makes my brain think so much that it almost quiets it down while I'm doing it. And I don't think that the path to achieving the goal of entertaining and educating people is going to be an easy one by any means. And obviously this channel is going to be all over the place, but I do think that this might be a segment now, because honestly, just even sitting here recording it, I've really enjoyed doing this. It allows me to process things in a different way, and hopefully connect with people on some baseline level. I'm not saying everybody's brain works like mine. I'm not saying that it doesn't, right? I can't say that I'm the only person that's ever thought like this. Of course I'm not, right? Just like any of you that are listening or that decide to listen, you're not alone either in any way, shape, or form, right? Everybody has had a similar thought to you at some point, whether it's the exact thing that you're thinking or whether it's something close. They've had a similar thought, right? Now it just depends on what you decide to do with those thoughts. That is the major difference, right? And I'm sure everybody's heard this 1,000 times, but nobody's really alone. And as a person, it's very difficult to ask for help figuring something out. At least for me it is. And so that's why I've kind of gone on this journey of trying to figure it out on my own. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's far, I would say, in my opinion, it is harder to put things on yourself than it is to pass the buck or ask for help. In some sense. I think asking for help in scenarios is harder to do. But depending on the person. But I think putting it on yourself is one of the hardest things that you do, because you stew over it, right? It festers until either you have to come up with a solution or you're going to be eaten alive by it. And there's no in between. So, with that, I don't exactly know what else to say here, other than just keep grinding. Just keep getting after it, man. I mean, that's all there is to it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see any other answer than to just keep attacking it, and attacking it, and attacking it, and attacking it. And when I was 19, I was incredibly arrogant, and I thought I had it all figured out, and I started diving into these different areas of field, right? Psychology and how the human brain works and whatever, right? And there's a long line of things in my family of mental illness and whatever, right? That's why I got into it in the first place. But then at 19 as well, I started using it for things that I shouldn't have been using it for. Just because you know those things doesn't mean that you should use those things. You know what I mean? And I think the study of the mind is incredibly interesting. And now that I've grown older, I believe that philosophy is more for me than psychology is. Psychology is incredibly interesting, and it goes based on the actual science and, you know, those things. But I think the danger of using psychology in order to get what you want is not a good trait to have. And so I cut it off at the source, which was good. But it doesn't mean that I don't still find it interesting. The processes of the human mind, you know, whether it be sleeping with dreams, whether it be interactions with people with body language, whether it be just the basic thought principles that are going on in your mind, is very interesting. It's very, very interesting, no doubt. But to weaponize those is a problem. And I think I would rather use those tools on myself as though to get to the root cause of what is going on inside my head, right? Now, obviously, with doing those things at, you know, the age of 19, there was a lot of things that occurred. You know, you do gain confidence because you feel like you're controlling a room, but you're not really controlling a room. You're, especially at that age, you're a child with tools that an adult has built over years. And with being that, I think you grow very arrogant. I'm not saying everybody does, but I think you become very arrogant in the sense of, well, I know exactly what I'm doing, so I'll just do whatever I want, which is a foolish way to think, in my opinion, because you could hurt somebody by doing that, and you are not the only person on the planet, right? Now, that doesn't mean don't go follow what you want to follow, right? If you want to go live your dreams, then go live your dreams. Do it up, right? But that also doesn't mean that you should hurt people along the way. I think it is both important to follow your dreams and be a good human being as much as you can, because you don't know what other people are going through, and just being kind to somebody really could change somebody's life. I mean, you have no idea how much it could affect their life, truly. But definitely by me getting back into jiu-jitsu, it has helped my mental state a lot. I mean, truly, even for the little time that I've been back. It has helped my mental state a lot. I mean, a lot. And now going back to the principles that I had in 19, but with an older mind, it's done me a lot of good, I think. Now, of course, I've had my difficulties. There's certain things and desires that the human mind wants, and it's, do you want to give into it or not? Now, does that mean that I'm never going to do certain things again? Of course not, right? Everybody's going to slip up. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Does that mean that I'm never going to, whatever? I'm never going to drink again. Does that mean that, no, of course not. It's going to happen. Now, it's about mitigating it, though. Can you mitigate the damage? Can you control your mind, basically, is what I'm saying. Because you're going to have thoughts, you're going to have, whatever it is, but it's about breaking it down into needs, wants, and bullshit, basically. I mean, that's all I can say. And deciding what is right and wrong is the more important step than to give in to what you want, I think, personally. So, it's just a little rant that I had. It's just a thought that I had. I know I haven't posted in a while, and then to come back and drop something like this is very interesting. But basically, I would say that the message for this video is just, you're not alone. You're not alone. That's all. And if you want to leave any experiences down in the comment section, I'll be glad to read them. But yeah. So, know that you're loved. And it's okay to think about things and try to work through them. And the other thing is that you're not alone. You're never alone. You just really gotta look around and think about the people that you have in your life. And even if you think that you have no one, you have someone. There's somebody that cares. There is. And I care. I do. So, anyway, that's all from the Human Excitement Program for now. I love everyone, and I hope that everybody's doing well. So, that's all. I'll catch you guys later, and on the next one.